I'm excited for two reasons. I'm at AHR Expo 2016, the world's biggest, largest, mightiest HVAC and R show. And the other reason here is I'm sharing the dais with a fellow Indian, Varun Nagaraj, the CEO of Sierra Monitor Corporation. Varun, I have a couple of questions to ask you. See, we in India, we are dealing with a lot of building automation systems and environments which are completely closed. Yeah, and people today want to have interoperability, openness. So, do you have products on those, and can we get ourselves more educated on that?
Sure thing. Good question, Samir. And first of all, thank you for being here. It's also rare and nice to have an opportunity to end up on a website that is targeted primarily at an India audience.
Thank you.
So thank you for actually making the trip all the way out here. So question around the use of different protocols in buildings and what folks can do, what integrators can do to tie these things together. So as you pointed out, it's quite common today for different systems to actually adopt their own protocols. Perhaps you have Honeywell that has a whole range of HVAC systems that uses a certain protocol. Perhaps you have Johnson Controls that uses the N2 protocol to tie all their stuff together. There are companies that use Lawnworks or flavors of Lawnworks in order to build their system. We're also familiar with so many other companies like McQuay, for example, or tens of different fire alarm control panels that all have their own proprietary protocols. In fact, some might say there are maybe a couple of hundred protocols that are out there. And it works fine as long as they don't have to talk to each other.
Yes.
But I think the moment you go towards building a smart building, a green building, an energy efficient building, you have to have these systems speak with each other.
Yes.
And that's where our product comes in. So we are basically a multi-protocol gateway company.
Okay.
The brand of our product is called Field Server. And these multi-protocol gateway products, as you can imagine, are small embedded systems.
Sure.
And they take in a protocol of one type on one side, and transform it into a different set of protocols on the other side.
Okay.
So for example, if there is a vendor that has basically built out their products with protocol X, but they want to have the ability to connect to any of 10 other protocols, or the integrator might want to connect it to any of 10 other protocols, either the OEM or the integrator would use a product of ours to front-end their product and really turn it into a multilingual product. It's the best way to learn multiple languages is to buy somebody else to do the translation for you.
Well said.
So that's what our gateways do.
What's the new trend at Sierra Monitors now?
So it's actually a trend not just for us, I think it's a trend for the industry, and to some extent this may be a trend that I'm proposing in advance of the industry actually accepting that trend. But that's what makes it more interesting.
Yes.
So the use case that you talked about was really about systems talking to each other, right? So that the whole building could be smarter and policies could be implemented. But that scenario that we just discussed is still very much a building management system type of scenario, right?
Okay.
It is the individual systems opened up, but the overall building is still a closed building if you think about it. Now what we have learned from the IoT space, and in America there has been a craze around the Internet of Things for the last year, and I'm sure India is starting to talk about it as well.
Yep.
But we have had lots of products being introduced into homes in America. Okay. We have had the Nest thermostat, we have locks that are smart, I have a garage door opener that's smart, there are security systems that are smart.
Wow.
But in all of these cases, they're not trying to talk to each other. And this is the interesting part I want to point out, is that each of these systems is actually talking to their own cloud, and then there are their own iPhone or Android applications that talk to their own cloud, that talk to their own device.
Sure.
So you see, each of these systems has basically built an entire stack. So it's not just a device, it's a device, a cloud, and an app, right? And there is no such thing as a home automation or a home management system. Now, you come into the building space, and suddenly you have a building management system. And what I'm going to propose is that even within a building, the people who make individual devices, they absolutely have to do what you just said. They have to talk to other systems. But what I'm going to say, the new trend is that every device maker should also be able to talk to their own cloud and to have their own set of applications. Because that is the only way the next wave of analytics applications and the next wave of innovation can come around. So what we are launching at this show,
Yeah.
is we're building on our very good reputation as a gateway company, and I hope we have a chance to do, to do good projects in India with our gateway product. But what we have done is we've enhanced the gateway with cloud connectivity.
Okay.
So the gateway is now connected to a new cloud service that we just launched.
Okay.
We call it Field POP. The gateway is
Okay.
Field Server.
Okay.
Field
Okay.
POP. POP stands for Point of Presence.
Okay.
And so the Field POP basically allows these devices to register
Yeah.
into the cloud,
Okay.
and then it makes the data available from the cloud to various other applications. So that, I think, is a new trend. It is taking these devices that have been communicating with other devices or systems within the building and turning them into really smart systems with their own cloud connectivity and their own applications.
I'm sure India as a country, and you being you spent your childhood in India
And more.
and more
Right.
and more, and you must have seen a huge amount of change that has happened in India. It's a very intelligent society, a very adaptive society, and ever since smartphones has come in, going from edge to enterprise has become very, very simple. So can we have a quick look at what you are actually talking in terms of these product lines that we are talking about? Because I'm personally very, very excited. Way back, when I go to India, I'm only looking at protocol translators as a business. But I think we need to really sit up and watch Varun talk about this new IIoT, right? Is that it?
IIoT, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, over to you.
Yeah, so we'll do the demo, shortly. But you're absolutely right. I think the applications that are relevant for India go well beyond smart buildings. India is probably one of the leaders in the world in terms of their smart city initiatives. And if you think about what a smart city is, it's really one way to look at it. It's a collection of outdoor spaces. It's a collection of buildings.
Yes.
And you can't, build a smart city without having fundamental capabilities of being able to translate protocols from each other, being able to get data into the cloud and build applications. So I'm excited about our company's potential, hopefully, for contributing to such, changing projects that will change the face of the country. And you're right, I've been out of the country since 1986.
Okay.
But, I visit every few years, and the change is tremendous. And to the extent I and my company can contribute to it, that would be great. That would be great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now let's do the demo then.
Sure. Okay. Thanks.
So as the demo is going to show, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you what the user interface of a router looks like in a traditional sense. We're going to show you how these routers start going from being semi-smart to really smart, which means there's going to be new application capabilities that get added here, which make this product behind it much smarter, right? This is part of that evolution from semi-smart to smart. We're then going to show you how these devices register securely through existing firewalls and existing security infrastructure. No changes in with the cloud. This is our Field POP cloud offering that these guys are going to connect to. Then we're going to show you how users, either facility managers or the device makers themselves, can remotely access these devices no matter where they are securely through the cloud. And finally, we'll show you how not only are you getting data into the cloud, that data can actually be pushed into various other analytics and visualization and well-known platforms, like Salesforce, for example, in order for either the OEM or the facility manager to really learn a lot more about how their products are used. So this is really the pathway from being semi-smart to being smart and cloud connected. And what makes that happen is Sierra Monitor's IIoT on-ramp suite, which is really a collection of these products, the software, the cloud, and the linkages with the rest of the clouds. So we've talked about the various pieces that make up the suite, the IIoT on-ramp suite. So let's start with the protocol gateway itself. What you're seeing here is the user interface of the Field Server Protocol Gateway. We call it the Field Server Graphical User Interface, and this happens to be for one of the customers. So any protocol gateway that integrators or OEMs buy have the ability to have certain local web pages on them that allow them to configure and manage the system. Now, in addition to this, you could build a whole bunch of interesting applications on top of the Field Server. So here's an example for a company called Neptronic that makes humidifiers. So these are web pages still built on that protocol gateway. So these are still running on the Field Server. And as you can see, since a lot of data goes through the Field Server as it does its job of protocol translation, this data can be presented and collected and presented in an interesting way. So up here on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the various applications we have. So on this field server, we have the ability to show the system view, which talks about all of the devices that are behind the field server. We have the ability to have a sense of history and trending information as well. So for example, if we were to go into the history slide, you would basically be able to see that in this particular field server, by selecting the right kinds of parameters, this field server, the local gateway, is able to collect and trend the information that is actually flowing through it. So this is about adding data to the field server. This is about making the semi-smart device that the field server is sitting in front of into a smart device with local applications. Now that's all well and good, but let's talk about how do we connect this protocol gateway into the cloud infrastructure. That requires you to register these field server gateways to the cloud. And so this is yet another web page that is on the protocol gateway that allows the installer to make a decision to actually have this device register in with the cloud service. And it is only by registering into the cloud service that all of the other capabilities we talked about, being able to securely and remotely access these, that become enabled. So this is the screen through which one would actually register the gateway and the products behind it, the devices behind it, into the cloud. Once you have basically registered it into the cloud, this is what the cloud interface looks like. So the OEM, which is the device maker, or the end customer, the facility manager, could log in to the cloud service. This is no different than logging into finance.yahoo.com or logging into weather.com. Log in here, and what they would see here would be basically all of the products that have registered into this account on the cloud service, which is called Field Pop. So they could then basically click down upon any of these buttons to see what is behind that particular pin. So in this particular case, behind that particular pin would be a device. In this case, this is a device at a particular location, and they could connect to it. And when they do connect to it, they are essentially connecting to the device that is remotely on site. So these would be the exact same pages that they would have looked at locally, except now, from anywhere in the world, they're able to use the secure cloud service in order to be able to connect in to the specific device. So this would be one of the web pages that was on the field server protocol gateway that this user is now remotely being able to connect into. Now, having done that, there are other things that somebody could do with this sort of a cloud service. We talked about the ability for the device cloud, which is what we are offering, to connect into these other clouds like Salesforce.com or Oracle or SAP and so forth, Google, Microsoft. So what we have is the ability to recognize there are other clouds and have the ability to sync the data. So this is data that's coming in from the registered devices into the cloud, and from the cloud into whatever the appropriate backend might be. In this case, it's being pushed into Salesforce.com. This is a familiar screen for those that use Salesforce. And in this particular case, what this was programmed to do was to take all of the notifications and alerts that were coming from the field, from the gateway, into the cloud, and on from the cloud into Salesforce. Now, we also have the ability to push it to individual people for notification, but the reason you also want to push it into Salesforce is sometimes these alerts and notifications make a lot more sense when you have all the information you need around the particular customer that generated the alert or notification. And all that data oftentimes is residing in a CRM system like Salesforce. And that's the reason why, in this case, the notifications have actually been pushed into the Salesforce cloud. So hopefully that gives you a good, quick view of three things: what the protocol gateway looks like, and what the screens on the protocol gateway looks like, and how the protocol gateway itself can be made more intelligent with local applications. Second, you've seen how it can be registered into the cloud, and once it's registered into the cloud, these remote devices in the field are accessible through the cloud in a very secure fashion. And third, once you actually have this data in the cloud and the device is accessible from the cloud, you can integrate all of that data into these more advanced platforms like Salesforce or Google in order to truly build the next generation of analytic applications. So together, this is what makes up the IIoT on-ramp suite from Sierra Monitor Corporation.
Varun, this excites me a lot. Yeah, all that I heard in the last 10-15 minutes, I tell you, I have been a system integrator all through my life, and whatever you say has blown the lead out of me. So thank you very much. Tell us, would you be participating in any of the trade shows around? Because we would like to have these wares in India.
So Samir, I absolutely hope that these products are relevant to your readers, your users, your customers, and to the Indian market, right? As you can see, I obviously have a vested interest, right, in making sure these products are successful and adopted. So yes, to the extent I can actually support you in any fashion, to the extent we get a chance over the next 12 months, let's say, to participate in maybe in a user group, maybe in a conference, maybe in a trade show, we'll find a way to make it happen. But I'm certainly excited about supporting you and Control Trends in India.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks so much. And if viewers want to reach you, I mean, how do they reach you?
Sure thing. Our website is www.sierramonitor.com. Sierra Monitor is one word. And in there are links, and they can get directly to me if they want, but they can come in through that website. That would be the way I'd recommend it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. This was Varun Nagraj for you, the CEO of Sierra Monitors.
Thanks, Samir.